So a while back, I made a video kind of about this idea of what if Spider-Man was trained by Batman. Now, in that video, I did conversate a little bit about what Batman would offer to Spider-Man in terms of knowledge, in terms of fighting style, in terms of investigative abilities and stuff like that. Now, I will admit, I think Batman would be a pretty decent mentor for someone like Spider-Man. I feel like their vigilante-esque ways are pretty similar, but I was thinking, who else would be an amazing mentor for someone like Spider-Man? And genuinely, I think Superman would be an amazing mentor for someone like Spider-Man. Now, I know it sounds kind of odd because, let's be honest, Superman has these insane superpowers. The dude is an alien. He is not your normal human being. But I honestly think he has some amazing traits and amazing things that he could really show and teach Spider-Man or Peter Parker. And it would be kind of a very good mentor opportunity for someone like Superman. Now, let's start with Superman's kind of moral compass and heroic ideals, right? Obviously, Superman is the pinnacle of heroism, right? He is the top of the top, at least kind of like the red, white, and blue poster boy of heroism itself. Now, he is referred to as this beacon of truth and justice, right? And basically has this unwavering dedication to what is truly right. Now, these things obviously are going to resonate pretty heavily with someone like Spider-Man. But of course it is, right? He's a hero. Every hero, or most heroes, have this kind of want for truth and justice, at least to an extent. Now, this would definitely hit Spider-Man in a different way because, frankly, he has people, someone like Captain America, that are similar to this. And this version of Superman could be regarded very similar to Captain America because of that, right? Because of that specifically. But we know that there are a lot of versions of Captain America that, well, isn't the best teacher in the world, and frankly don't even have the best interactions with someone like Spidey ever in existence, right? There's a lot of interactions with him that aren't very good. At least in the MCU, they're pretty decent, but in some of the comic book interactions, there's some definitely interesting ones that are definitely not the best in the world. But still, that's not what we're here to talk about necessarily. But I do believe that moral compass is very similar to someone like Captain America. So Spider-Man would have an easy time kind of resonating with it. Now, going on to Superman's kind of life, his lifelong commitment, especially as he's been growing up, is to kind of protecting humanity. Now, this is on definitely a bigger scale than what Peter is. Peter is your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, but this would definitely help Peter and inspire him to kind of see and help the world to his utmost limit, right? That is something that Peter would definitely start or would always do because of someone like Superman and the example he shows him. Now, this is the biggest thing that I thought about when I thought about basically Superman mentoring Spider-Man. That was the incredible strength and self-control that someone like Superman has. Now, we always think about this idea. What if Spider-Man stopped pulling his punches? What if he just said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to pull my punches no more, and I'm going to follow through. Well, Superman lives and deals with that day in and day out. Superman has to literally pull his punches to a degree that Spider-Man can't even fathom, because Superman's punches and his ability to and his strength is on a totally different scale. We're talking, if he got mad enough and he stopped pulling his own punches, he could punch a planet one time and probably obliterate it into nothingness, right? Like, that is the level that Superman is. So the fact that he's on a whole nother level, possessing these godlike powers, godlike strength, that he could easily impose his will on others if he so chose to do so, but instead he chooses to use them, resourcefully, gently, and basically decides to use that force for good, showing this kind of self-control would allow Peter himself to kind of resonate with it as well, on the idea that, of course, if he runs into Uncle Ben's murderer, he's going to want to beat the guy literally to death. That is what Peter's going to want to do. But in this regard, someone like Superman, he's able to hold himself back, at least to an extent. I know there are Supermans that, definitely didn't do that, but we are talking about a general Superman who basically has this self-control, has this ability to hold back, and Peter would definitely look very fondly on that and would use that as his kind of main reasoning, and a big reason why he shouldn't pull, or why he shouldn't kind of let his punches go, why he shouldn't just beat these criminals to absolute pulps, right? He knows and understands that there needs to be restraint, especially with his power. At the end of the day, right, with great power comes great responsibility, and I think even Superman knows that more than anybody else, so he'd be able to definitely instill that and make sure it stays instilled in Spider-Man. And Spider-Man himself, yes, he's heard it from Uncle Ben, and yes, he's heard this quote on countless occasions, but he definitely would be able to maintain and hold it basically forever if he hears it from a godlike being like Superman, right? Someone who can literally obliterate things. If he wanted to, he could wipe the Earth off of the face of the galaxy, but of course he chooses not to do so. But this does show major restraints. Now, in terms of experience and wisdom, Superman has been a hero for a very long time. And yes, I know we are kind of talking about a Spider-Man that is younger, but Spider-Man's, for the most part, is portrayed a lot of the times as if he's kind of like the newbie on the block, right? He's a little bit newer and stuff like that. He has a lot to learn. And we can kind of resonate with, or like we can, with Spider-Man, because he is that kind of newbie on the block trying to figure things out. And Superman himself can definitely help him with kind of dealing with that moral boundary between threat and foe, and also trying to basically rehabilitate certain people and stuff like that, right? You got to be able to navigate those complicated choices of sacrifice, loyalty, and also justice. So all of those things, well, Superman has massive wisdom and experience in. But don't get me wrong, Spider-Man, he has a lot of experience in these things as well, and he's going to feel those struggles no matter what. But of course, Superman's wisdom and ethical kind of outlook will definitely help him overlook quite a few things. And obviously, you have someone like Peter Parker in the MCU who finds guidance in these older heroes like your Iron Mans and your Captain Americas. And frankly, I think Superman could definitely be a great kind of mentor and role model for kind of younger hero like Spider-Man, because he has been a mentor in a way, right? A role model for past kind of characters, right? We have people like your Supergirls and stuff like that, where he was a mentor or a role model. And yes, he went through his own kind of hardship with that. I mean, I know there's a lot of versions of Superman who kind of is overprotective of Kara and this and that, right? But he would then be able to learn from his mistakes that he basically enforced on these other people, and these mistakes that he made when basically mentoring or role modeling these other people and these other future heroes. And it would allow him to kind of grant even better wisdom to someone like Spider-Man. Now, another thing is kind of the idea of him being an alien. I know initially I said, like, well, he's an alien. Like, how does he resonate very well with Spider-Man? Well, that's kind of the good in it, right? Him being a extraterrestrial and being or having that kind of experience as an alien living amongst humans, he knows that being a superhero, especially like Spider-Man, you're going to be treated differently and kind of completely absurdly by the public. At the end of the day, some people will look at you as a hero. Some will look at you as like, some just everyday thing that happens. Others may look at you like a monster, maybe like thinking, oh, well, this guy, he's creepy. He's a creature, right? Like, what is this guy, right? And this would allow Spider-Man to understand that there's a lot to this. There's a lot, right? The safety of these people and the safety of the people that they are obviously protecting is the number one thing, but you can't really control what these people are thinking, right? When Superman showed up, he was a flying man that can shoot heat vision out of his eyes and breathe frost, right? He could do all of these crazy things that no human would ever be able to do. Everybody looked at him like an alien and looked at him like he was different. And he was different. But sometimes you have to really channel that. And he would be able to teach Spider-Man how to channel that. And on top of that, he'd be able to really teach Spider-Man the true value in kind of being amongst other humans, right? Yes, Peter is a human. I get that. He is. But sometimes when you have powers that allow you to do things so inhuman, it makes you think, maybe I'm not as human as I thought I was. So it's good to kind of have that split and understand the split between Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Have enjoyment in Peter Parker. Have enjoyment in being Peter Parker. And that's what Superman could do. Superman has that enjoyment in being Clark Kent, being the husband of Lois Lane. He can have that enjoyment. And yes, it's really difficult to separate the two lives, but I do believe that someone like Superman would be able to help him, teach him, and help him kind of overcome those kind of dual identity and balancing those dual identity problems, because you can't lean so heavily into being Spider-Man, because once you do, you'll lose sense of who you are as Peter Parker. But if you are too heavily Peter Parker and all these bad things begin to happen and you're not Spider-Man enough, well, then it's kind of on you, right? And he understands that. Superman, Clark Kent, he understands that. He understands that having these two lives, and you have to basically carefully navigate them to the most degree you possibly can, because at the end of the day, yes, you want to enjoy your life as either Clark Kent or Peter Parker, but you also have to separate those lives to protect the people you love and enjoy and also you cherish. So he's going to be able to teach Peter all of those things, be able to show him that struggling initially with the dual identities is something that's going to happen, but something that they definitely can overcome, and that something is, or that is something that he can overcome, Peter Parker can overcome, and Spider-Man can overcome, but they have to work together, which sounds weird to say, but is the truth when dealing with kind of these secret identity like heroes. Now, Superman also would definitely be able to help Peter overcome kind of these limitations. Now, I'm not saying he'd be able to teach him how to avoid weaknesses and stop that and stuff like that, because obviously Superman is not invincible. He has his weaknesses, right? He has his kryptonites, and he has his, normal vulnerability to magic, which I've had a conversation about that. He is vulnerable to magic the same way a human would be, just in that regard. But Spider-Man himself, he deals with his own kind of mortality, and he deals with his own weaknesses. And frankly, Superman would be able to resonate with that, right? He'd be able to resonate with that heavily with having superpowers. Because yes, we can link back to Batman, and Batman is a normal guy, or sort of a normal guy, but you know what I mean by that. And he'd be able to resonate with Spider-Man in that regard, right? He's just a dude, right? A dude that had to go on a crusade. But in this version, right, we have Superman who has powers and can really kind of resonate with Spider-Man because of these powers. Yes, he's not human, but he can help Spider-Man overcome some of the vulnerabilities, and also have him kind of deal with the vulnerabilities and understand that he's going to have these, and even if he can't deal with them and stop them from happening entirely, he can at least deal with them in terms of coping with them. Because someone like Superman, he can't stop kryptonite from kind of showing up out of nowhere. He can't stop someone from utilizing magic on him, right? He can't do these things. It's not possible for him to just outright stop it and outright eliminate it entirely. So he'll be able to help Spider-Man definitely stop or kind of cope and also deal with some of these weaknesses. But at the end of the day, they both share kind of this humility and this empathy for humans and people that surround them. Even Superman cherishes kind of that enjoyment with being amongst other humans, living like them. And we've seen it on multiple occasions where he's Clark Kent and he'll sit beside just ordinary people and he'll relish in it. He'll enjoy it. And frankly, Peter Parker is not too far from it, because there's a lot of times where he thinks that he would be better off if he wasn't Spider-Man, that he would be better off if he wasn't wearing the suit, if he wasn't slinging webs and trying to save people, that he would be better off. And sometimes that is the reality of it, but sometimes you have to sacrifice and make sure others are safe, and you can't really think too heavily about your selfish desires when you have power like someone like Superman or even Spider-Man. Now, Superman himself would be able to help Spider-Man with quite a few things, and a lot of things that I said here. And I would love to hear what you guys have to say in terms of basically Superman teaching Spider-Man anything. What do you think he could mentor him on? What do you think would be kind of beneficial to someone like Peter Parker? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. What do you think I missed during this video while I was talking about it? And yeah, that's all I gotta say. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below. All that good stuff. And yeah, please leave kind of suggestions for future videos, and also what you thought about the video in general. With that said though, if you enjoyed this video, YouTube believes you'll enjoy this one, so might as well go check it out.